Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are working on the sonnets, and today we've got sonnet number 78, which goes, "So oft have I invoked thee for my muse, and found such fair assistance in my verse, as every alien pen hath got my use, and under thee their poesy disperse. Thine eyes that taught the dumb on high to sing, and heavy ignorance aloft to fly, have added feathers to the learned's wing, and given grace a double majesty. Yet be most proud of that which I compile, whose influence is thine and born of thee. In others' works thou dost but mend the style, and arts with thy sweet graces graced be. But thou art all my art, and dost advance as high as learning my rude ignorance." So this is another sort of sweet, lovey poem from Shakespeare, the speaker, to the fair youth, the listener. And there's some themes that we've seen here before. There's some self-deprecation. There's some saying, my works aren't worthy, all of that sort of thing. But what he's saying is, I've used you so often as a muse for my poetry that other people have caught on, and they're using you as a muse for their poetry too. And you inspired all of these people, including myself, stupid little me. You inspired all these other people who actually know how to write to write even better. But you should be most proud of the work that I create about you, because it's entirely about you. They were already good, so the fact that you are now in their poems, they make the poems prettier, but my art is dedicated to and entirely about you, and the fact that you could transform someone as ignorant and unworthy as me into something great, that's something that you should be proud of. A couple of things that stand out to me in this poem, though, I think I touched on it a little bit before, the original pronunciation thing, and I don't remember if I talked about it in reference to the sonnets or one of the plays, but there are a lot of people who think that Shakespeare always has to be done with a British accent because Shakespeare was British, and that's not true, because Shakespeare wrote a lot of his poems and plays to take place in different places. He wrote a lot of them took place in Italy, a few of them took place in Greece, but the real kicker is the accent of Shakespeare's time wasn't the British accent that we know today. It was different. And there are people who have studied Shakespeare's works and studied some of these rhymes that look like they should be rhymes but aren't quite, like advance and ignorance, majesty and fly, things like that, aloft to fly and majesty, things where the rhymes almost fit but don't quite yet. They're just a little bit off in the way that we pronounce them now. And even if you're doing it with a British accent, you're not necessarily going to get a perfect rhyme. But somebody went through the sonnets, some of the plays that have lots of rhyming in them, and tried to figure out what the English accent sounded like in Shakespeare's time that would have made those rhymes work. And to me, it sounds a little bit like somebody from Ohio. But anyway, that's one thing that stuck out to me a lot in this particular sonnet, is the what feels to our tongues like forced rhymes, but that would have actually rhymed in Shakespeare's time because the accent was different then. So anyway, that was Sonnet 78 and a little smidge about original pronunciation. If you want to learn more about original pronunciation, just do a YouTube or a Google search for it, and you'll find the guys that actually did the research, and they've taught a bunch of other people what original pronunciation sounded like, and there have been several Shakespearean productions done entirely in what they're calling OP, which is very interesting, and it's something that I would love to do someday, but I gotta actually sit down and study how the accent works other than just pretending to be from Ohio. So anyway, that's Sonnet 78. I'll see you tomorrow for 79. Mwah.